Hello, I'm RJGiovacchini, and I will be talking about haptic virtual fixtures for robotic-assisted manipulation by Jake Abbott, Paul Marion, and Allison Okamer. And for context, it was published in 2007. The stated goal in the paper is to unify the past and present research in the field by considering the design, analysis, and application of virtual fixtures to various system types. For this presentation, I'm going to start by talking about the two different types of haptic systems, haptic virtual fixtures, manipulation or cooperative manipulation, and telemanipulation. Then I'm going to talk about the two subcategories, impedance and admittance. Then I'm going to go into guidance virtual fixtures and forbidden region virtual fixtures. So the two different types, cooperative manipulation and telemanipulation. For cooperative manipulation, the human uses the robot directly to manipulate the environment. Examples of this are the Baxter robot. Right here you can see a guy teaching it by physically moving its end effector to a given location to pick up an object, and then move it to another location to drop off that object. And after it's taught, the robot can then continue and repeat that. From paper the other week, we saw that they used machine learning and physically moved the robot that you see here to pick up a block or a chess piece, and then it was able to learn how to do that after being shown multiple times. The other type of virtual fixtures are telemanipulators, and that's more at least what I think is the traditional type of haptic interfaces. So what you can see here in the center is a guy using the Razer Hydra and the Oculus Rift to essentially play robot simulator or surgeon simulator, which could be used on a real robot. We're actually using the Razer Hydra with Atlas currently to move him around and send him positions. Also seen here, you have the Da Vinci robot, where you have the doctor using the master unit and controlling the slave robot to operate on a patient. So the two different types are impedance and admittance. We talked about these last class. Actually, I believe this is the same diagram from last class. With impedance, they're usually backdrivable, low friction, low inertia, and they use force source actuators. While with admittance, it's more a typical industrial robot, and so they're larger, non-backdrivable, higher inertias, and they usually have velocity source actuators. So for guidance virtual fixtures, for the admittance control, it's usually the velocity is a gain times the input force from the user, while the instantaneous preferred direction, you take that and you break it up into its components, and the components that are going in the directions that you don't want to go, you just eliminate them, and that way the robot doesn't travel in that direction. For impedance control, it acts as potential fields, and it actively influences the manipulator movements. So this can lead to unexpected or undesirable movements. For this paper, because of that, they decide to not go into impedance control. They focus on what they call the pseudo admittance control law, so that way they can work with an impedance control in an admittance control fashion. So for the pseudo admittance, what they do is they servo the master to the slave's position, and they servo the slave to the proxy position. So they kind of try to meet in the middle. So they attenuate the velocities, the command velocities, in the non-preferred direction, similar to the admittance control. That way they get the desired control they want. For they did some tests with, I guess, somebody trying to follow a path, sinusoidal path with a manipulator, and they adjusted the gains, and for the path following, by having larger gains, it made it more accurate, but it also made it more difficult for the user, because like if he started to deviate from the path, he would have to fight the robot to get to the next part of the path. So when you hit the off-path tests, it was it took a lot longer because you were fighting the robot to get around that bump, and as a user you didn't know that bump existed, so you're trying to go in line with the sine wave, and the robot is trying to push you away from it, so the harder it pushed, the longer it took. And this also increased the error, the tracking error also. So the other type that they talked about is forbidden region virtual fixtures, and this pretty much works. It's either on or off. When you're either entering or trying to enter a forbidden region, that's when it becomes active. When you're not in a forbidden region, it doesn't do anything to the system. So for impedance types, it's a virtual wall, and it's proportional to how far into the region you've gone. So the further you go in, the more it will try to push you out. While if you're just on the boundary, it's not going to try too hard to push you out of the forbidden region. For the admittance type, if you try to go in the forbidden region, it just does not recognize those velocities towards that region and just throws them out. So the only question that was on the discussion board at the time of recording this was just in general, like using haptics for different applications, and whether or not they're trying to make it easier or not for the user. So that's probably system dependent. Like for surgery, it's not so much trying to make it easier, but trying to make it better, I guess, in a sense of you can get a smaller instrument in there. The doctor doesn't have to get his hand in there. He can do it from around the world and not have to travel. If they have the machine there, he can be wherever he is. You can have experts working on patients far away. While for like with Atlas and the Hydra, we've had people come in for tours and try to use Atlas with the Hydra and had success moving it around. Didn't try picking anything up, but they were able to move it around. So it depends on your situation or your system, whether you're trying to make it easier or for a user or just more accurate. That's how I'd answer that question. Any other questions, just post them to the discussion board and I'll try to answer them best I can. Thank you.